Hi, how you doing? My name's I3D Jack, and I'll be taking you through this training on mental ray. This training is an introduction to mental ray rendering with Autodesk Maya. We'll be using Autodesk Maya 2009, which as of this recording is the latest version of Maya. Mental Ray is a plugin renderer for Maya. Maya 2009 has the best integration of mental ray rendering that's ever been released for Maya. Even though mental ray is a plugin in Maya 2009, sometimes you tend to forget that mental ray is a plugin once you start using it because it works extremely well. It's probably the fastest and most stable and most enjoyable that it's ever been inside of Maya. Whereas before it used to be pretty frustrating and could be pretty unpredictable. Now it's just a joy to render with mental ray. So what is mental ray? Very quickly, mental ray is an industry standard renderer. It's used in many different industries, including but not limited to the product and architectural visualization fields, as well as visual effects, broadcasting, the film industry, as well as many other applications. So mental ray can create photorealistic renderers, and it can also create non-photorealistic renders. That's the beauty of mental ray. You can use it for pretty much anything you want to. It's very flexible and very robust. So in this training, I'm going to be introducing you to a lot of mental ray features. We're going to be going over all kinds of things: global illumination, final gathering. We're going to be going over irradiance particles and importons and lots of other stuff. So if you don't know what any of those things are, perfect, because this is the training for you. If you've heard of those things, you've kind of looked at them, maybe you've looked at the Maya help documentation and you still don't get how to use those complex features, which is perfectly normal. These are features that in some cases can take years of experience, as well as working on real projects to actually learn how these things work. It's not something that you can just pick up and learn, like say Photoshop or something. It's not really that simple. So sit back, relax, and let's get going here with mental ray. So before we get started with the mental ray renderer, I just want to show you the parts of the interface we're going to be using. If you notice up here we have our shelves. Okay, we're going to be using a few buttons over here on this right side of the rendering shelf, so you might want to keep that one open for this tutorial. We'll also be using the rendering menu over here. So we see we have these different menus: animation, polygons, so on and so forth. We're going to be sticking with the rendering menu right here, because the rendering menu is going to give us access to these main menu items up here, like lighting and shading, texturing, render, tune, paint effects. But we're not going to be using all of those menus, obviously. The one we're going to be using is the render menu up here. The render menu has a lot of different options and menus up here with sub-menus, okay? The one that we're going to be using is, well, a few of these. When we get to it, you'll get to see which ones we're going to use and how we're going to use them, so don't worry about that for now. Now, I did mention before that the mental ray renderer is a plugin renderer. It's not the native built-in renderer of Maya. The built-in renderer is actually called the Maya software renderer, okay? And the mental ray renderer is a plugin. So to load up the mental ray plugin, first of all, Maya will usually load it up by default. But Maya is not perfect, and sometimes it'll forget to go ahead and load up the mental ray for Maya renderer. So how do you know if the renderer is loaded up or not? Well, if you come over here to the render menu and you go down to the render using menu or sub menu, you'll see that you have 4 renderers available: Maya software, hardware, Maya vector, and mental ray. By default, Maya will select the Maya software renderer, which is not what we want. We want to use the powerful mental ray renderer, okay? So we'll go ahead and select it. And by doing that, automatically, this means that mental ray is now selected as the current renderer. That is to say, it's now the active renderer. That doesn't mean that it's loaded up as a plugin. If it's available in your list, that means you don't have to worry about anything. It's already loaded up as a plugin. However, there are cases where you won't see it in your list. You'll come over here and you'll just think to yourself, hey, wait a minute, there's only three selections here. Where's mental ray? Sometimes that happens with Maya. Don't panic. That means we have to load up the plugin manually. So how do we do that? Well, we come up here to Window, go to Settings and Preferences, then go to Plugin Manager. Open that up. That pops up the Plugin Manager window. And in the Plugin Manager window, what you want to do is come down to where it says Maya to mr.mll, all pretty much in one word. And make sure that it's that the loaded and auto load checkboxes are turned on. Okay. Then just hit close, If you come back to the render using menu over here, you'll see mental ray in a list. Go ahead and select that to make that the currently active renderer. Okay, the next thing has to do with this tutorial. This tutorial comes with the project assets in a project folder, a Maya project folder, so that you can follow along. It's extremely important that you load up these project assets, because in this introduction to mental ray rendering, I'm going to be using those projects and those assets exclusively. So in order for you to follow along and be able to keep up and produce the same results that I'll be producing, it's very important that you follow along with those project assets and files. So where are those project assets and files? Well, they come with the tutorial, and there's obviously no way for me to know where it is on your hard drive. It's pretty much going to be located wherever you downloaded this tutorial to your hard drive. Okay, so what you want to do is come up to File, come to Project, and then go to Set. This will open up a file browser window here, and you'll be able to go ahead and select your folder. My folder for the projects is located in the My Tutorial Projects folder. That's a folder I created on my hard drive, so you probably won't, or not probably, but you definitely won't have that folder unless you create it. And the project folder itself is called i3D Tutorials Intro Mental Ray. Pretty original, huh? And if I expand that, you'll notice that it has all the little subfolders here for the projects, and that's pretty much your standard default Maya project file structure. Okay, so just go ahead and select the main project folder here called i3D Tutorials Intro Mental Ray. Hit OK, and that'll go ahead and set the current project. Editor, edit that out of the video. Start again in 3, 2, 1. And now we have the project set up as the currently active project. Excellent. So now we can actually get started and get going here and working with mental ray. So I'll just end this video here, and in the next one we're going to go ahead and open up our first scene that I included here with the tutorial projects, and we'll get going here with mental ray.